Okay, so let's just jump right in. Have you ever been so stressed out, so completely overwhelmed that you felt, well, physically sick? I'm not just talking tired, I mean achy, foggy headed, just wrong. Today, we are going to unpack that exact feeling, the deep biological science of how your mind can literally make your body feel sick.
Right? It's a feeling we've all had. You have a terrible week at work, go through a tough breakup, or you're just stuck worrying about something, and bam, you feel like you're coming down with a nasty flu. So, what is actually going on there? I mean, how can something that's just in your head, a thought, a feeling, cause such a powerful physical reaction in your body?
Well, believe it or not, scientists have a name for this whole collection of symptoms. They call it sickness behavior. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You get tired, you don't want to be around people, and every little ache and pain feels 10 times worse. And here's the kicker. Your brain can flip the switch on this entire experience without a single virus or bacterium in sight. The trigger is just your stress. So, to really get this, we have to understand what makes our modern human stress so uniquely toxic. And it really comes down to this one idea, perseverative cognition. It's a fancy term for something we all do. See, an animal in the wild gets chased by a predator, it escapes, and the stress is over. But us, we humans, can replay that negative event over and over again in our minds. We can worry about it happening again in the future. And that rumination is what keeps our internal stress alarm blaring long after the actual danger is gone. Okay, so to see how that mental alarm bell triggers a physical response, we've got to look under the hood at the body's ancient, hardwired emergency system. This is the machinery that evolution has given us to deal with immediate life or death situations. And right at the heart of that system is something called the HPA axis. Now, don't worry about the name. Just think of it as a three-step chain reaction. When your brain senses a threat, the hypothalamus sends a signal to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland then shouts out an order to your adrenal glands, which sit right on top of your kidneys. And that order is release the big one, the main stress hormone, cortisol. Now, in a real emergency, cortisol is an absolute lifesaver. Its job is to flood your body with glucose, a quick shot of energy so you can either fight or run away. But to do that, it has to make a tough choice. It has to divert energy from any system that isn't absolutely essential for survival in that split second. And one of the biggest systems it puts on standby, your immune system. And this, right here, is where our story takes a really fascinating turn. See, for the longest time, science kind of treated the brain and the immune system as two totally separate things. But what we now know for a fact is that they are deeply physically connected. Your brain has a direct hotline to your immune cells. In fact, there's a whole scientific field dedicated to this called psychoneuroimmunology. Yeah, it's a mouthful. Let's just call it PNI. But it's the science that is officially mapping out exactly how your psychology, your thoughts and feelings, directly talks to your nervous system, which in turn changes how your immune system behaves.
So, a quick refresher on your immune system. You've got two main branches. There's the adaptive system, that's the slow, smart one, that creates specific antibodies and remembers germs for years. But the real star of our show today is the innate immune system. This is the fast-acting, frontline defense force, and its weapon of choice? Inflammation.
Now, inflammation gets a really bad rap these days, but it's absolutely essential. It's your body's first response to any injury or infection. It's what helps you heal. The problem isn't inflammation itself. The problem is when this powerful tool designed for a short-term crisis gets stuck in the on position. And the molecules that are running this whole operation are tiny proteins called cytokines. The easiest way to think of them is as the text messages of your immune system. They're the messengers that fly around your body, coordinating the response, telling cells what to do, and basically creating the very feeling of being sick. And this is where it all clicks. Look at these specific cytokines here, IL-1 beta, IL-6, and TNF-alpha. Their job isn't just to fight infection. Their biological function is to literally create sickness behavior. They are what cause fever. They make you more sensitive to pain. They make you lose your appetite. These molecules are the direct reason you feel physically sick. So we have to draw a really clear line here. Acute inflammation is your friend. It's a quick, targeted flare-up, like when you get a cut. It does its job, cleans up the mess, and then it goes away. Chronic inflammation, though, is the enemy. It's a low-grade, simmering fire throughout your body that never really gets put out. And that is the type of inflammation that is fueled by chronic psychological stress.
So, what kind of stress is most likely to light this chronic fire? Well, the research points overwhelmingly to one area: social stress. Things like feeling rejected or left out, being bullied, feeling unsafe in your community, or chronic loneliness. These experiences that threaten our sense of safety and belonging are incredibly powerful triggers for our body's inflammatory response.
All right, now we get to the real heart of it. Because this whole system isn't just a one-way street from your brain to your body. Oh no. Stress and inflammation can actually trap us in a really nasty self-perpetuating cycle. Let's break down how that works. So when that inflammatory response is switched on for days, weeks, or months because of chronic stress, it doesn't just stay in the body. Those inflammatory cytokines start traveling back up to the brain, and they begin to change how the brain itself works, creating a vicious feedback loop that can be really, really hard to escape. So here it is, the loop. Just follow along. It starts with psychological stress. That stress triggers the release of those inflammatory cytokines we talked about. Now, those cytokines travel through the bloodstream back to the brain, and they actually make the brain's threat detection circuits more sensitive, more jumpy. So now you have a more sensitive brain that perceives more stress and threat in the world, which in turn triggers, you got it, even more inflammation. You literally become biologically sensitized to stress. You know, it's just amazing. Over a century ago, way back in 1917, Sigmund Freud wrote this. He obviously didn't know anything about cytokines or the HPA axis, but he had this incredible intuition that deep emotional pain, what he called melancholia, behaves in the body just like a physical wound that won't heal. And all of this work, all these discoveries, have led to this beautiful, grand unifying theory. It's called the social signal transduction theory of depression. And what you're looking at here is a map of the entire journey we've just taken. It starts at the top with a social threat, feeling unsafe or rejected. That signal then gets processed by specific parts of the brain. Those brain regions then activate the stress pathways that go all the way down to your actual immune cells. And it's those cells, at the very bottom, that pump out the inflammation that creates the biological reality of feeling sick, and in many cases, depressed. So that leaves us with this big, important question. The science is making it crystal clear that the mind and body aren't two separate things. They are one integrated system. Our social lives, our feelings, our thoughts, they are constantly being translated into the language of our biology. And if that's true, it forces us to completely rethink how we approach health. You can't really heal the body without also healing the mind.